162 classified files, 28 videos, decades of secrets. On May 8, 2026, the Pentagon walked up to a podium, unlocked the vault, and said the words America had been waiting 79 years to hear. They handed over evidence dating all the way back to a desert town called Roswell in 1947. Reports of orbs, crash retrievals, sightings from astronauts. So the question is no longer do they exist? The question is, what did the Pentagon actually just admit? It started with one signature. On February 19, 2026, President Donald Trump directed the Secretary of Defense to crack open every file the federal government still kept locked in classified vaults. No more redactions, no more national security exemptions. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth confirmed the Pentagon was, in his own words, in full compliance. Within 90 days, the war.gov/UFO portal went live. And what happened next sent shockwaves through every newsroom on the planet. 162 files, 120 PDFs, 28 videos, 14 photographs. Sourced from the FBI, NASA, the Department of Defense, and the State Department. The Pentagon called it the most complete archive of unidentified anomalous phenomena ever released to the American public. Officials promised more would drop on a rolling basis. And buried inside that first tranche was something nobody saw coming. A 2023 encounter that the Pentagon itself labeled, quote, among the most compelling reports we have. Picture this: Western United States, 2023. Over a 2-day stretch, federal law enforcement officers, on the ground, independently reported strange luminous spheres in the sky. One officer described something almost too cinematic to believe. He watched, with his own eyes, what he called orbs launching other orbs, multiple objects, spawning more objects. No known aircraft, no known drone signature, just glowing orbs multiplying mid-air over American soil. And those are the Pentagon's own words. Then the files dragged us back, all the way back to July 1947, Roswell, New Mexico, a scorched debris field, a spooked rancher, and one Air Force major sending an internal memo that the U.S. Army Air Forces had, quote, recovered an object purporting to be a flying disc. For 79 years, that sentence sat behind a security clearance. Now it is online, free to download. The first time the government has admitted, on its own letterhead, what really happened. But here is the twist. The Pentagon also said something nobody wanted to hear. After reviewing every single document, every photograph, every astronaut transcript, every redacted memo, their conclusion was blunt. There is no confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial life. None. No bodies. No crashed spaceships. No interstellar visitors shaking hands with generals. The government's official line, on May 8, 2026, was that nothing in the archive proves we have ever been contacted by anyone from off this planet. So how do you square that? On one hand, orbs launching other orbs. On the other hand, no aliens. That is exactly the contradiction tearing the country in half right now. Because the agency tasked with figuring it out, AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, has reviewed more than 2,000 UAP reports. 2,000, some clustered eerily close to nuclear weapons facilities, some near sensitive military installations. Statistical clustering, the Pentagon admits, that, quote, merits further analysis. In the FY 2024 annual UAP report, AARO closed 49 cases. Birds, balloons, drones, satellites. Boring stuff. Another 243 cases were recommended for closure pending peer review. Also prosaic. Also boring. But then there were the other ones. 21 cases. 21 specific incidents that she in for further analysis by the intelligence community and outside scientific experts. They did not say aliens. but they also could not say explained. 21 anomalies the most powerful military on Earth cannot identify. Think about what that means. We are talking about objects tracked by infrared, by radar, by trained naval aviators with billions of dollars of sensor technology pointed at them. Objects that move in ways our physics textbooks say should be impossible. Objects that do not show up on any database of known foreign or domestic aircraft. And the world's most advanced defense agency, with a straight face, said we don't know. Now, rewind to July 26, 2023, a congressional hearing room in Washington. A former Air Force intelligence officer named David Grush raised his right hand and dropped the line that broke the internet. He told members of Congress, under oath, that the United States government had been running a, quote, multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, a program to recover and reverse engineer objects that were not made on Earth. Then he went further. Grush claimed that during these retrievals, the U.S. recovered what he called, in his own carefully chosen words, non-human biologics, not weather balloons, not test pilots. Biologics, plural. He said he had interviewed more than 40 witnesses over 4 years. He admitted he had not personally seen the bodies. But he said the people who told him, and I am quoting again, are currently still on the program. When Representative Tim Burchett asked Grush if people had been harmed or injured in covering up extraterrestrial technology, Grush said yes. He just could not give the details outside a sensitive compartmented information facility, a SCIF, the most secure room the federal government has. So either a decorated combat veteran and former intelligence officer perjured himself in front of Congress, or there are still pieces of this story that even now, in 2026, are sitting behind walls we cannot see through. And then it got darker. In April 2026, reporting surfaced that another UFO-adjacent whistleblower had died of, quote, an accidental overdose, months before he was set to testify on Capitol Hill. The FBI opened an investigation. The internet, predictably, lost its mind. Coincidence? Almost certainly. Convenient? You decide. But it is the kind of detail that makes every conspiracy theorist sit up a little straighter and every skeptic sit down a little more uncomfortable. Now layer on the cultural backdrop. AARO quietly hosted an invite-only workshop in August 2025, pulling together about 40 researchers, government scientists, university physicists, independent investigators, to standardize how the world even talks about UAP data. The goal? Build a global shared scientific framework. The fact that this workshop happened at all, behind closed doors, tells you the Pentagon thinks something here is worth studying with real rigor, not laughing off as tabloid material. And what does the public think? A reception that the Pentagon itself described as mixed. Some people called the May 8th release the biggest disclosure in U.S. history. Others called it political theater, a curated, sanitized highlight reel with the most explosive material still locked away. Critics pointed out a brutal truth: if you genuinely have nothing to hide, you do not need a presidential directive, an interagency task force, and a brand new .gov portal to prove it. Let us talk about the elephant in the sky. Why now? Why 2026? Trust in institutions has been collapsing for years. Polls show a majority of Americans now believe the government has hidden information about UAPs. The release, intentional or not, is also a trust play. Admit a sliver. Reframe the conversation. Move the Overton window. Whether you see this as transparency or strategy, the result is the same. The taboo is broken. UFOs are now an official, federally sanctioned conversation. Here is the part that should chill you. Many of these objects, according to multiple Pentagon assessments, are being observed near our most sensitive nuclear sites, not over Iowa cornfields, not over Nevada desert, near nukes. The pattern is too consistent to dismiss. And whether they are foreign adversarial drones, classified American black projects, atmospheric weirdness, or yes, something else entirely, the Department of Defense is treating them as a real strategic concern, not science fiction. So, what are we really looking at? Possibility 1. It is all prosaic. Drones, balloons, optical illusions, sensor glitches, boring, terrestrial, explainable given enough time. Possibility 2. It is adversarial technology. China, Russia, somebody else leaping past us in propulsion, in stealth, in capability, and probing American airspace with impunity. Possibility 3. It is, as Grush testified under oath, something not from here. Each possibility has uncomfortable implications. None of them are comforting. All of them deserve answers. And the Pentagon is not stopping. The war.gov UFO portal is alive. More documents are coming, more videos, more photographs. The Department of War has promised a, quote, rolling basis of releases throughout 2026 and beyond. Astronaut transcripts, witness statements, military encounter reports stretching back decades. We are watching, in real time, the largest organized declassification effort in the history of this question. And every single trench has the potential to drop something none of us are ready for. Maybe, in the end, the truth is messier than aliens are real or aliens are fake. Maybe the real disclosure is this: the U.S. government, for nearly 8 decades, has tracked objects it cannot identify, near places it cannot afford to lose, doing things it cannot explain. And only in 2026, after a presidential order, did they finally start letting the rest of us look at the same evidence. That by itself is an extraordinary admission. So here is the question I am leaving you with. If 162 declassified files, 28 videos, and a Pentagon admission of Orbs launching other Orbs is what they are willing to show us, what exactly is in the files they are still not releasing? Drop your honest answer in the comments. Cover up? Cover story? Or are we genuinely just one tranche away from changing what humanity knows about itself? I will be reading every single reply. If this video brought you value, hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.